Welcome to our deep dive into the heart of Malaysia.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, we're going way off the beaten path today.
Sounds adventurous.
It is. We're exploring the world of indigenous cultures, immersive storytelling, and ecotourism.
A fascinating combination for sure.
Absolutely. Get this, we're talking about communities that have lived in harmony with nature for centuries.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and we're going to discover how we can experience their vibrant cultures while supporting their preservation.
That's the key, finding that balance.
Exactly. And all of this thanks to this great online article.
Let's hear it.
It's called Exploring Indigenous Cultures, Immersive Storytelling and Ecotourism Adventures in Malaysia.
I love that title.
Me too. It really captures the essence of what we're talking about.
Definitely, and it speaks to the potential for meaningful cultural exchange.
You're right. It's not just about sightseeing. It's about a genuine connection.
And learning from these communities and their unique perspectives.
Exactly. And speaking of unique places, our first destination is the Maleo Basin in Sabah.
Ugh. Maleo Basin, the lost world of Sabah.
They don't call it that for nothing.
It's a truly remarkable place, one of the last untouched wilderness areas in Southeast Asia.
Now that's what I call getting off the grid.
You got it. We're talking about a place where you might encounter a rare Sumatran rhino,
Wow.
or even discover plant species unknown to science.
Seriously?
Seriously, it truly lives up to its name.
A place where you can step back in time.
Exactly.
And this pristine environment is home to the Dusun and Murut communities.
Yes. Such vibrant cultures.
And the article really highlighted how they're such an integral part of the visitor experience.
They act as guides for visitors and weave in stories about the rainforest's mystical creatures and ancient trees.
Oh, I love that idea, like a living, breathing mythology lesson.
Precisely. And they have legends about the Hantu Tinggi.
I've never heard of that. What is it?
It's a towering forest spirit that protects the balance of nature.
That's amazing. So it's like a trek through one of the most biodiverse regions on Earth, combined with these incredible stories.
Exactly, an immersive experience that connects you to the land and its people.
I'm already hooked. But what stood out to me was that these tours go beyond storytelling.
Oh, absolutely.
The Dusun and Murut people also teach visitors about their sustainable living practices.
Right, using plants for medicine.
And crafting tools from natural materials.
It's a hands-on learning experience.
So cool. You're not just observing, you're actually participating.
Exactly, and the article gave some great examples.
Like what?
Well, the Dusun are known for their intricate bamboo weaving.
Oh, wow.
They craft everything from baskets to musical instruments.
I can only imagine the skill involved.
It's incredible. And then you have the Murut, who are skilled hunters.
Wow. So different skill sets.
Yes, they utilize blue pipes and traps made from forest materials.
That's fascinating. And visitors get to try their hand at these techniques.
They do. It's all about gaining a deeper appreciation for the resourcefulness and ingenuity of these cultures.
What an amazing experience. Okay, so from the lost world to a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve.
A bit of a contrast.
It is. Our next stop is Tasik Chini, a serene lake in Pahang.
Tasik Chini, a place of tranquility.
I'm picturing tranquil waters, lush greenery, and a sense of absolute peace.
You're spot on. It's breathtaking with its lotus-covered surface and the mist-shrouded rainforest rising around it.
That's magical.
It is like stepping into a Monet painting with an added layer of mystery.
I love that description, and the article was really specific about its cultural importance.
Yes, it highlighted the connection to the Jakun tribe.
You mentioned them before we started recording.
They have such a deep connection to this lake.
What kind of details does the article offer about their way of life?
Well, for one, they believe that Tasik Chini is inhabited by a mythical dragon.
A dragon?
Now that's intriguing.
It is. This dragon is called the Nagasari Gumam.
Nagasari Gumam, I love that name.
It's pretty epic, right?
Yeah, it is so... Tell me more about this dragon.
Well, they believe it's a guardian spirit of the lake, and this belief is woven into their daily lives and rituals.
It shapes their interactions with the environment. Exactly, and
Right.
they also have sustainable fishing practices using traditional traps and nets.
Which have ensured the health of the lake for generations.
That's right. A true testament to their deep understanding of their environment.
It really is fascinating how these cultures have coexisted with nature for so long.
It's something we can all learn from.
Definitely. And something we'll continue exploring on our next segment.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so we've got these incredible destinations and cultures, but something that really resonated with me was the article's emphasis on responsible tourism.
Yeah, it's so crucial.
But what does that actually look like when visiting these communities?
Well, the article was very specific, which I appreciate.
Okay.
Yeah, like choosing local guides
Makes sense.
and community-run tour operators. That way the economic benefits go directly to the people.
It's about empowering them, not just observing them.
Exactly.
You wouldn't just wander to someone's home and start taking pictures.
Right, of course not.
So respect for their customs is key.
Absolutely. And the article mentioned a few things.
Like what?
Dressing modestly, asking permission before taking photos, maybe even learning a few phrases in their language.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just simple gestures that go a long way.
It shows that you're a guest, not just a consumer.
Exactly.
And you can't talk about responsible travel without considering the environment.
Especially in places like the Malio Basin or Tasik-Chini.
Right, where nature is so central to their culture.
It's paramount, packing out all your trash, reusable water bottles, eco-friendly accommodations.
All of those choices matter.
They do. The article highlighted how these communities are often the most vulnerable to things like pollution and climate change.
So it's on us to minimize our impact.
Absolutely.
And this kind of raises a question for me.
What's that?
How can we be sure that ecotourism actually benefits these communities and doesn't harm them?
It's a delicate balance.
It feels like it.
It is. The article touched on this, but it's a much larger conversation.
Sure.
Done right, ecotourism can provide income-preserved traditions, even give communities a platform.
To share their concern.
Exactly, but there's always a risk.
Of exploitation.
Yeah, or inadvertently disrupting their way of life.
That's where I think the immersive storytelling aspect comes in.
It's so powerful.
It's not just entertainment
It's a way to gain a deeper understanding.
of their worldview.
Exactly like the Jakun and the Naga Seri Gumam.
Right. It shapes their whole relationship with the lake.
Exactly. Those stories carry generations of knowledge.
About the environment, their values, their history,
It's through those narratives that we can see the world through their eyes.
not just our own.
And hopefully that translates into wanting to support their well-being long-term.
Not just having this fleeting experience.
I think it can.
The article talked about these immersive experiences fostering a sense of wonder and connection with nature.
It's about rediscovering that primal bond that humans have with the natural world,
Something that a lot of us have lost.
especially in our modern urbanized lives.
That really resonates with me. I think so many of us feel disconnected from nature, and these communities offer a glimpse of a different way of being. I agree.
But I also feel this sense of agency.
Oh, yeah?
Like time is running out.
For these cultures and ecosystems,
Deforestation, climate change, assimilation into the dominant culture.
it's a lot to contend with.
So supporting responsible ecotourism can help.
It can. It provides an economic incentive to protect their land and traditions.
But it's only one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
What else needs to happen? What's the bigger picture?
Well, land rights, cultural preservation, sustainable development that's led by the communities themselves.
Not imposed from outside.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
multifaceted and requires us to confront some uncomfortable truths
About our consumption habits.
and the impact of globalization.
Wow, that's heavy stuff.
It is,
But important stuff.
for sure.
So we've talked destinations, responsible travel, the power of stories. Where do we go from here?
What's the takeaway for our listeners?
Even if they never make it to Malaysia.
I think the goal is to spark action, however that looks for each person.
Maybe it's planning a trip, supporting organizations, simply educating yourself further about Indigenous cultures.
I like that.
The key is we all have a role to play.
In preserving cultural diversity and protecting the planet.
Exactly.
That's a perfect segue into our final destination.
Let's hear it.
The Bilum Temangor Rainforest.
Wow.
This is one of the oldest rainforests in the world.
It is over 130 million years old, according to the article.
Dinosaurs roamed this area.
Imagine that.
I know. And now it's home to the Orang Asli communities.
The original inhabitants of peninsular Malaysia?
Their connection to this place runs deep.
It does.
And the article mentioned learning survival skills from the Orang Asli,
Fascinating.
like building blowpipes and identifying edible plants.
It's like tapping into ancient knowledge.
That's been lost elsewhere.
The Orang Asli are renowned for their knowledge of the rainforest.
They can distinguish hundreds of plant species.
They know which are medicinal, which are poisonous, which can be used for building.
Their understanding of the ecosystem is unparalleled.
It really is.
It's not just about survival skills. It's about a completely different way of relating to nature.
Right.
The article touched on their storytelling tradition, too.
Oh, yes. Their stories are so insightful.
What kind of insights do they offer?
Well, they believe that the Belem Temangor rainforest is inhabited by spirits.
Really?
And they have stories and rituals that demonstrate their respect for these beings.
So the forest is alive.
Yes. sacred and interconnected with their own existence.
It's incredible how these cultures can teach us so much about living in harmony with nature.
It really is.
Their stories, their skills, their way of life, it's all interconnected.
It is.
But before we go any further, let's pause here for now and pick up this thread in our final part.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our final segment on exploring indigenous cultures in Malaysia. It's been quite a journey.
It has, from the lost world to that serene lake, all the way to that ancient rainforest.
We've covered a lot of ground, but now I want to shift gears a bit and bring it back to you, the listener. While it would be amazing to experience these places firsthand, I think there are lessons we can all take away from this deep dive,
Oh, for sure.
even if we never actually make it to Malaysia.
Right. It's about broadening our perspectives.
Exactly. And appreciating the wisdom that these cultures have to offer.
Recognizing that there are just different ways of being in the world.
Different ways of relating to nature.
Different ways of understanding our place in the grand scheme of things.
So for those who might missed a detail or two, let's do a quick recap of our journey.
Okay.
In the Maleo Basin, we encountered the Dusun and Murit communities who shared their incredible knowledge of the rainforest.
Their sustainable living practices using plants for medicine crafting tools.
And those captivating stories about mystical creatures and ancient trees.
Passed down through generations.
The stories aren't just entertainment.
No, they carry important ecological knowledge.
A deep respect for the balance of nature.
Then we traveled to Tasik Chini.
That serene lake.
Not just picturesque, but a sacred place for the Jakun tribe.
We learned about their traditional fishing practices.
Ensuring the health of the lake for generations.
And their belief in the Nagasari Gumam.
The mythical dragon who serves as a guardian spirit.
A great example of how indigenous cultures see the natural world as imbued with spiritual significance.
Not just as a resource to be exploited.
This perspective fosters a sense of responsibility,
And interconnectedness.
which is so relevant to the environmental challenges we face today.
Absolutely.
And finally, we ventured into the Bilum Temagor rainforest,
One of the oldest rainforests on Earth.
guided by the Orang Asli people.
Who taught us about their incredible survival skills.
Their ability to identify hundreds of plant species.
And their stories that reveal the rainforest as a living, spiritual being.
The Orang Asli's knowledge is remarkable.
It makes you realize how much we've lost touch with nature.
Their understanding of the interconnectedness of all things is a valuable lesson.
It really is.
So here's a question for you, the listener.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine yourself immersed in one of these environments. What story would resonate most with you? What traditional skill would you be most eager to learn?
That's a great question.
What aspects of these cultures speak to your own values and interests?
Maybe the Dusun's bamboo weaving.
Or the Jakun's sustainable fishing practices?
Or the Orang Asli's ability to navigate the rainforest using ancient knowledge.
Whatever resonates with you. I hope this deep dive has sparked a curiosity,
To learn more.
not just about indigenous cultures in Malaysia,
What about cultures all around the world?
who are working to preserve their traditions and protect the environment.
It's about recognizing that we have so much to learn from cultures that have lived in harmony with nature for centuries.
Their wisdom can help us navigate the complex challenges we face today.
From climate change to biodiversity loss to the erosion of traditional knowledge.
This deep dive has been an incredible learning experience for me,
Me too.
and I hope it has been for you as well.
I hope so too.
Remember, the journey doesn't end here,
This is just the beginning.
of a deeper understanding of the world around us.
And our place within it.
Until next time, keep diving.